In the heart of Rome, behind the grandeur of cathedrals and the calm rhythm of prayer, there exists another world, one hidden beneath centuries of silence. It is a world where faith meets fear, and where light dares to confront something ancient and patient. This is the Case of Rosa, a story that the Vatican never meant to be told. It began in 1999. Rosa was a 21-year-old woman living on the outskirts of Rome. She came from a deeply Catholic family, raised within the traditions of the Church. But after her father's death, something began to change. At first, it was the small things, objects moving slightly out of place, a crucifix falling from the wall without reason, whispers at night, coming from rooms no one entered. Then came the voices. Rosa's mother described hearing her daughter speak in Latin, fluently, though Rosa had never studied the language. Her moods shifted violently, her sleep filled with screams. And one night, she awoke covered in scratches that bled in the shape of a cross. After medical examinations failed to explain anything, the local priest referred her to Father Gabriele Amorth, the Vatican's most experienced exorcist, a man who would later claim to have performed more than 70,000 exorcisms. Father Amorth agreed to meet Rosa. According to his notes, when she entered the room, the temperature dropped suddenly and her eyes appeared divided. One dark as coal, the other pale as silver. The first exorcism took place in a small church outside Rome. Rosa sat quietly, head down, hands trembling. Father Amorth began reading from the Rituale Romanum, the official book of Catholic exorcisms. At first, nothing happened. Then a low voice emerged from her throat. Not her voice. Deeper, slower, almost mocking. "She does not belong to you," it said. "She belongs to me." Witnesses reported that Rosa's body twisted unnaturally. When Amorth splashed holy water, her skin sizzled as if burned. She laughed, a sound no one present would ever forget. The session ended abruptly after Rosa collapsed, whispering in Latin, "You cannot free her. She is mine." Over the next 6 years, Father Amorth continued to meet Rosa in secret. Each session was documented by the Church, but the files were sealed and marked confidential. Her behavior oscillated between calm lucidity and violent possession. During calm periods, Rosa described feeling someone behind her, always watching. She wrote in her diary, "When I pray, it stops. But when I stop praying, it whispers my name again." By 2005, her condition worsened. Amorth decided to attempt one final exorcism, one he would later call the most dangerous of my life. It was held in the crypt beneath Santa Maria della Concesione, one of Rome's oldest churches. Only 4 people were present: Father Amorth, 2 assisting priests, and Sister Angela, a nun who had cared for Rosa since the beginning. 20 candles surrounded Rosa's chair. Her hands were tied with a white cloth. The air was heavy, cold. Amorth began the ritual. "In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti." At first, Rosa was silent. Then she lifted her head. Her lips moved slowly. "You are tired, Amorth. 6 years. And you still don't know who you face." Her tone was calm, intelligent, deliberate. She was no longer Rosa. "Who are you?" Amorth asked in Latin. "Quis tu?" She smiled faintly. "I am not one of those who fell without purpose. I am the one who led them." I stood before his throne and refused to kneel. The room went silent. The candles flickered, and a metallic smell filled the air. "Lucifer?" Amorth asked. She laughed quietly. "Names do not matter. I existed before yours was spoken." Amorth continued the prayer, voice trembling but firm. The assistants read along, and Sister Angela clutched her rosary. Rosa's body began to shake violently. Her voice rose into a scream, then dropped into a growl that seemed to come from the floor itself. "Stop! You burn us! Your words mean nothing. The world is already mine. Sister Angela later described seeing a shadow on the wall behind Rosa, tall, human-like, but not attached to her body. It moved even when Rosa didn't. Amorth threw holy water. Steam rose from her skin. Her screams echoed through the crypt. Leave her, in the name of Christ. There is no place for you here. Rosa's eyes opened wide, each iris now glowing differently. She whispered, I don't need this world, Amorth. I need you, those who believe in the light, but fear the dark. Amorth shouted louder, reciting, Vade retro Satana, numquam suad mihivana. Go back, Satan. Never tempt me with your lies. Rosa convulsed. The ropes tore apart. Every candle went out at once. Darkness. Only their breathing filled the room. Something moved, soft, deliberate, circling them. Amorth continued the prayer, though his voice grew weaker. Sister Angela felt something cold brush against her arm. Then, silence. When the candles were relit, Rosa lay collapsed on the floor, trembling. Amorth knelt beside her. Rosa! She opened her eyes slowly. He's gone, she whispered. The others wept in relief. But Amorth did not smile. In his private journal that night he wrote, It did not feel like victory. It felt like something was only hiding. Weeks later, Rosa returned to a quiet life. She worked briefly at a flower shop, attended church with her mother, and tried to forget. But she confided in a friend that she still heard a whisper during prayer. Months later, she vanished. Her house was found empty, its windows boarded. On one wall, faint writing in Latin remained, Non dormiam, donec redeam. I will not sleep until I return. Sister Angela left the convent shortly after the exorcism. In a 2010 interview, she said, I believe Father Amorth succeeded, but I also believe something moved that night. Since then, when I pray alone, I hear Rosa's voice, not crying, but praying for him. Weeks after that interview, Sister Angela disappeared. Only her rosary was found hanging in the chapel window, next to a burning candle. In his final notebook, dated June 13, 2016, 3 months before his death, Father Amorth wrote, Darkness is not always the devil. Sometimes it is the space between prayer and silence. In that space, I still hear Rosa calling my name. Investigators later tried to locate Rosa through church and hospital records. No trace was found. No birth certificate. No medical files. Nothing. But the Vatican archives list a sealed folder marked Case R2, filed 1 year after Rosa's exorcism. In 2018, a Vatican technician digitizing old archives discovered a tape labeled Lucifer Session, 2005. He played it. For 10 minutes, it was the sound of prayers and screams. Then, a woman's voice whispered clearly, I am free. A man's voice followed, calm and chilling. No, I am within you now. The recording ends abruptly. The technician reportedly quit his job the next week, claiming he suffered recurring dreams of a girl with 2 colored eyes calling his name. No official statement was ever released, but Father Amorth was real. Born in 1925, he served as the Vatican's chief exorcist for decades, performing tens of thousands of rituals. In his final public interview, he said, The devil hides not in hell, but behind the faces of those who no longer believe. 3 months later, he passed away in Rome. If you visit Rome, near Via Veneto, you can still find the Santa Maria della Concesione church. Tourists come to see the crypts built from the bones of monks, arranged in shapes of angels and crosses. But the staff will tell you, quietly, that one room remains sealed. Every time they try to open it, the candles go out, and the air turns cold. Perhaps the story of Rosa is nothing more than legend, an urban myth of the Vatican. Or perhaps it's proof that the war between light and darkness never ended. Whether you believe or not, the accounts remain. A young woman who spoke in tongues, a priest who died hearing her voice, and an audio tape no one dares to play again. Sometimes the devil doesn't need to show himself. He just waits. In the silence after prayer, in the darkness behind closed doors, and maybe, even now, in the space between your heartbeat and your breath.